Welcome guys. Previously we discussed about the concept of interest on debenture. When the company offers interest on the debentures, the company has to post some journal entries associated with the issue of debentures. So whenever interest on debentures are offered or issued, there are 4 entries associated with it. Entries for the issue of interest, entry for the tax due on that particular interest, entry for the tax payment, and finally the interest on debentures that is charged against the profit. So the entry for the P&L. So these are the entries relating to the interest on debentures. Next, let us discuss a practical case that includes the installment payments as well as the interest payment on those particular debentures. So let us discuss that. Next case, Mega Company Limited issued on 1st January 2018 20,000 12% debentures of 100 each, payable at 90 rupees as follows. So 90 rupees means in the question they may not specify whether it is a case of a premium or a discount. From the face value of the debenture mentioned in the question, you have to assume whether it is a case of discount or a premium. Here it is mentioned that value of the debenture is 100 but it is offered at 90. So what is the situation? It is a case of a discount. And to confirm our assumption, go through the values of each of these installments. At the time of application it is price 30, allotment it is 40, and first and final call it is 20, and within each installments the date is specifically mentioned, so you have to mention the date accordingly. In the previous cases the date was not much importance in the installments. Here it is given because there might be any adjustments with regard to interest payment on particular debentures. That is why the date is mentioned in the question. Anyway, application 30, allotment 70, then it will be 70 plus 20 90, but the price of the debenture was 100 but it is offered at 90. So we can assume that 90 rupees is the face value of debentures offered at a discount 10. All debentures were subscribed and paid in full. Interest is payable half yearly, 30th June and 31st December. See, that is why the date is specified, and here 31st January and 31st March is given, so you have to mention the date accordingly for each of these installments. Anyway, for the first half year the interest was paid at 4% on an average. Rate on income tax is 20%. Past journal entries in the books of the company to record the above transactions for the year 2018. So in this question you have to post the entries for the issue of the debentures, and discount factor is there, so you have to consider the discount factor in the journal entry. And not only that, you have to post the entry for the interest. So let us discuss and work out the journal entries associated with this question. So first one, bank account up to 12% debenture application. Here the debentures are issued for rupees 30 on application. So 30 into 20,000, it will be 6 lakhs. Application money received on 20,000 debentures at rupees 30. And in this question there is no mention in regarding where the discount has been adjusted. If there is information regarding discount has to be adjusted in any of the installment, you have to do accordingly. Otherwise, where will you adjust the discount? Is it adjusted in application or in allotment? If nothing is mentioned in the question, we can assume that discount was adjusted or allowed at the time of allotment. So in the application there is not much of an adjustments, so the amount will be the same at the time of due. So 12% debenture application account up to 12% debentures, the amount remains the same because there are no adjustments. Application money received transferred to 12% debentures account. So first installment is over. Next one, entry at the time of allotment. First you need to pass or post the entry for the allotment, that is a due entry. 12% debenture allotment account up to discount on issue of debentures account up to 12% debentures. In this question there is a discount of rupees 10, and that has to be adjusted in allotment. See, whether this 40 includes discount or not, that is another issue. Actually, this 40 doesn't have any relation with the discount, because if you add all these three amounts, you will get only 90. But the price of the debenture was 100. So we can assume that 10 rupees was offered as discount. So you have to do it as accordingly. So 12% debentures account. What debenture allotment? What is the price of the debenture allotment? It is 40 without adjusting the discount. Otherwise, in the brackets it would have been mentioned rupees 40, that includes discount. So it is not mentioned in this case, and moreover, if you add these three values, you will be getting 90. So the remaining value 10 is considered as discount. So value of the allotment, see, this debenture allotment is 40 into 20,000, it will be 8 lakhs. Discount on issue of debentures. Here a discount is offered at rupees 10, because price of one debenture is 100, but it is offered at 90. So it is logical that the difference was discount. So 10 rupees on one debenture. How many debentures are there? 20,000 debentures. So 10 into 20,000, you will get 2 lakhs. So actually, with regard to allotment, the company would have been collected 10 lakhs, but they are collecting only 8 lakhs because 2 lakh is offered as discount. That is the simple meaning of that adjustment. So allotment money due on 20,000 debentures at rupees 40 each, and adjustment for discount thereon at rupees 10 each. So due entry has been passed. Next is the payment entry. Entry will be bank account debtor to 12% debenture allotment account. Here you have to show the actual amount without considering the discount. So it is 8 lakhs. Allotment money at 40 per debenture received. So that is also over. And next one, allotment happens on 31st January, so you have to show it as 31st January. And one more thing, due entry may happen on the opening date, but the payment might happen, or that transaction is recorded only on the date specified in the question. Here it is given 31st January, so let it be like that. And next one, there is another adjustment with regard to interest. First interest is paid on June. Do we have to pay, or do we have to post the entry for the interest now? We need not have to post that entry now, because next one is first and final call, and it happens on 31st March. And the first transaction with regard to interest happens only on June. So now you need not have to worry about the payment of interest. Now just pass the entry for the last installment. So next one, due entry for the first and final call, it happens on 31st March. So 31st March, 12% debentures, first and final call account to 12% debentures. What is the value of first and final call? It is rupees 20. So 20 into 20,000, it will be 4 lakhs. First and final call money due on 20,000 debentures at rupees 20 each. That is with regard to due entry, and subsequently it is followed by a payment entry that happens on the same date. Bank account debtor to 12% debenture first and final call. There is no other adjustment with regard to that particular installment, so the amount remains the same, 4 lakhs. First and final call money received on 12% debentures. So all the entries with regard to installments is over. Next one you have to consider is interest, because all the installments are dealt within March 31st. The next transaction is going to happen is a payment of interest, half year payment, and first payment of interest happens on 30th June, so that date has to be mentioned. On 30th June interest is paid, so the entry will be interest on debentures account debtor to debenture holders. What is the amount of interest? That is the next important thing you have to consider. In the question it is mentioned for the first half year, the interest is paid half yearly, that is in 1 year there will be 2 payments. On the first half year, the interest was paid at 4% on an average. So 4% on an average. If such a sentence is mentioned in the question, your adjustment is very simple. Just take the 4% interest on the debenture collected. What is the amount of debenture collected? 20,000 into 100 into 4%. You need to do the computation just like that. There is no additional computation like half yearly, so you have to multiply it to 6 by 12. Don't do like that, because in the question it is mentioned that provide interest for 4% on an average. So for the first half year you are going to pay an average interest, so you need not have to do an additional computation of 6 by 12. So 20,000 into 100, that is 20 lakhs, into 4 by 100, only just that, you will get 80,000. And yet again you will get a confusion that how come we got 20,000? We have only collected only amount after adjusting discount, so how can we provide interest on 20 lakhs? Because if you add all these bank amounts, you are not going to get 20 lakhs. Remember, interest is paid for the agreed value. The value may be already agreed by the concern, because 20,000 debentures of rupees 100 is, but the company is mentioning that they are collecting only 90 rupees per debenture. So the actual value of the debenture was how much? 20,000 into 100, and it is collected only 20,000 into 90. So it doesn't mean that offering debentures at a discount doesn't reduce the interest that is eligible for the debenture holders, because the discount was offered by the company. So the company cannot reduce the interest value on that reduced value of the debenture. So don't worry anything about it. Whenever you are going to compute the interest on debentures, just add the 12% debentures value. That is, here 12% debentures 6 lakh. Next 12% debentures happens in here 10 lakhs, so 16 lakhs, and next debentures happens in 4 lakhs. So if you add all these debentures, that represents the actual value of the debenture. For the actual value of the debenture only we are going to provide interest, not on the value collected, because the amount collected may be at discount or at premium, but interest is provided on the actual value of the debentures. So that is why we have taken 20 lakhs. Don't get confused. We are collected only 18 lakhs, and how come we are collecting means computing interest on 20 lakhs? Don't get confused. We are always providing interest on the actual value of debentures. So 20 lakhs into 4%. Don't multiply again by 6 by 12, because in the question it is mentioned that 4% is the average rate representing the first half year. If nothing was mentioned, you could have multiplied again with 6 by 12. Since it is mentioned that 4% on an average, so you don't multiply again with 6 by 12. So 20 lakhs into 4%, you will get 80,000. Interest due on debentures for the first half at 4% on an average. Next one, we are going to pay the tax for the interest provided. What was the interest provided? 80,000. So the entry is debenture holders account debtor to income tax to bank account. Debenture holders account, you will show the amount of debentures interest provided, that is 80,000. And here you have to provide tax at 20% on the interest provided. So what is the amount of debenture interest? 80,000. So 80,000 into 20%, you will get 16,000. And after that the remaining amount will be provided to the debenture holders. So 80,000, 16,000 tax rate, that is 20% on 80,000, and remaining amount is 64,000 for payment of interest at 4% on an average and deduction of tax at source. Next one, tax is going to be paid. So income tax account debtor to bank. What is the tax rate? It was 20%, so 20% into 80,000, that is 16,000. We have already mentioned in the previous journal entry. Show that amount for the payment of income tax. And next one more entry is there, that is the entry for charging the interest against profit. Do we have to show that entry now? No, because there is one more interest payment. After entering all those details, we will show the total amount of interest charged against the profit, and the entry will be shown at the end of the period. So now let us go to the next payment. There are no other payments in between 30th June and 31st December. No other entries with regard to any of the installments or anything else. So let us go for the 31st December. So 31st December, first one is again interest on debentures, account debtor to debenture holders. Now very careful, in the question it is mentioned that for the first half year interest was paid 4% on an average. So again there is 6 months. For that, what is the interest rate? If nothing is mentioned in the question, whatever the interest rate is stated along with the debenture, that will be considered as the interest on debentures. So for the next half year, the interest rate is 12%. And for the 12%, how we are going to compute the interest rate? See, here it will be computed as per the normal computation, that is 20,000 into 100, that is 20 lakhs. 20 lakhs into 20 by 100, that is 20%, into 6 by 12. Here you have to consider the half year computation, because nothing is mentioned regarding the interest rate that has to be considered after the first interest payment. So if nothing is mentioned, you do as usual computation for the 6 months interest. That is how 1,20,000 is obtained. That is interest rate of 12% on 20 lakhs worth of debentures for 6 months. That is 1,20,000. That is the narration mentioned here. Next, we are going to make the payment to the debenture holders after adjusting the tax. The entry will be debenture holders account debtor to income tax to bank account. Here what is the interest rate? It is 1,20,000. So income tax rate is 20%. So 20% into 1,20,000, you will get 24,000. And it will be the tax amount. If you deduct 24,000 from 1,20,000, you will get 96,000. And next one is the payment of tax, income tax account debtor to bank. Same interest amount, tax amount 24,000. Show it here for payment of income tax. And finally, you have to show the profit and loss account. Actually, this entry is shown to charge the interest on debentures against profit. Profit and loss account debtor to interest on debentures. For the amount, don't have to worry anything about it. Go through all these entries. Wherever you can find interest on debentures, take the amount 80,000, and next one interest on debentures 1,20,000. Just add these two amounts. That will be shown here, 2 lakhs. For transfer of interest on debentures to profit and loss account. So these are the entries you have to pass whenever you come across a question like this. I believe you have understand the concept of the case which we have discussed. There is no much of a complication in this question. These are the working notes with regard to the interest payment for the first half and the interest payment for the second half. I believe you have got the concept of that computation. If you have any doubts regarding that, go through this calculation of interest computations. So this is how you have to deal with the case of interest payment if it is asked in a question along with the payment of installments. In this question, installments are paid first, and after that, means interest on debentures is occurred. Sometimes you may come across a question where during the payment of installments, in between any of these installments, sometimes interest cases may come. Usually that will be a rare case. Anyway, prepare for whatever the situation or the question that comes in a question examination. So these are the concepts, and let us go to the final area under debentures, that is fraction of debentures. So you might have heard the term fraction in the computation cases of shares. In the share we have learned about fraction of shares. The same concept is also followed in the case of debentures. Sometimes debentures may be issued in fractional numbers. Until now we have learned about 20,000 debentures. See, 20,000 debentures. All these are round figures, even numbers or whole numbers. Usually debentures and shares are often dealt in the markets in whole numbers or round figures. Sometimes due to some peculiar nature of the business transactions, you may have to deal with fractional debentures. So whenever there is a fractional debentures, you have to make the issue of debentures until a whole number, and for the additional fractional number of debentures you have to make the payment in the form of cash, because in the transactions of shares as well as debentures there is no issue of debentures in fractional numbers. So we will discuss about that concept, then you will get a clear picture. A fractional debenture refers to a unit of debenture that is less than one full debenture. Let it be 9 debentures or 150 debentures, or let it be, here it is given 20,000 debentures. The best example of a fractional debenture is 20,010 debentures. See, there are 10 debentures. Even though 10 is a whole number, it is actually a fractional case, because we can't do like that. We will discuss a case, then you will get a clear picture. The question of fraction debentures generally arises. So what are the situations in which the fractional debentures occur? So under fractional debentures, the only thing is you will do the payments or whatever the transaction with regard to fractional debentures will be conducted in the form of cash. That is the only thing that happens. So what are the situations in which fractional debentures occur? It usually occurs under two situations. One is issue of debentures to vendors for the asset purchased, and issue of debentures to sellers when running a business is purchased. So actually we have learned about these two situations. These two situations occurs when the company offers debentures for purchase consideration other than cash. In such situations only these fractional debentures occur. Yes, exactly, because in those two situations we are going to offer debentures for purchasing an asset. Sometimes the value of the asset may be not in a whole number or not in a round figure. We can't always say that the value of the land should be in whole number. We can't say like that. The value of the land depends upon many other external factors. Sometimes it may be a fractional value. So in that case we are offering discount debentures for purchasing a land, and if the value of the land is in fraction, how we are going to are we going to cancel that transaction? No, we are not going to. In that case we will offer debentures for a whole number or a certain value, round figure, and the remaining number we will pay in the form of cash. That is how fractional debentures are dealt. So I believe you have got the concept. A fractional debenture is a part or a portion of a debenture, but debentures cannot be issued in fraction. Not only debenture, shares also cannot be issued in fraction. So fraction debentures arise in certain situations like purchase of an asset, purchase of goodwill, purchase of business, just like the cases which we have dealt under issue of debentures for purchase consideration other than cash. So under those cases only these fraction debentures occur. Such fraction debentures should be settled in cash. That is the only adjustment that you have to provide. So let us discuss a case. Z Limited purchased a business for 9 lakhs and agreed to pay 99,915 cash and balance in 12% debentures of 100 each. Give journal entries. So this payment, see, 99,950. Why can't they pay 99,000? Then these issues will not have been occurred. But in business we can't say that we can't say like that, because sometimes the transaction may be in fraction form or it may be anything. We can't. It is none of our control. So how we are going to deal that transaction? So whenever you go for a business purchase, what is the entry? Business purchase account debited to vendor. If there is no details regarding the nature of the business, let it be business purchase. Don't worry, you can use that term. Business purchase account debited to vendor. What is the value of the business? 9 lakhs. Show the value 9 lakhs. Purchase consideration payable. So we are going to pay for the purchase in the form of issue of debentures. But in this situation there is one issue, because a certain portion of the transaction is paid in the form of cash, and that too in a fraction form. See, 99,950, and the balance has to be provided in the form of debentures. So definitely we will end up in a fraction form. In that situation you have to settle the fractions in the form of cash. So there will be two types of cash. First, the cash payment, see 99,950. so let us deal that. Vendor account debted to bank 99,950, purchase consideration paid in cash because it is mentioned. So 9 lakh was the amount payable, out of which 99,950 is paid in the form of cash. So what is the remaining value? It will be 8,50,000, because 9 lakh minus 99,950 means that we have to pay, or we have to pay to the vendor 8,50,000 rupees. It is a situation of a fraction because we can't issue like that. If the situation was 8 lakh, we could have issued debentures, or if it is 8 lakh 50,000, we could have issued. But 8 lakh 50, it's actually for 50 number of debentures, it leads to fraction. So it is a confusing situation. So we have to settle like this. Out of 8 lakh 50, we will provide debentures worth of 8 lakhs. And remaining amount of 50, that will be paid in the form of cash or bank. This is how you have to deal a fractional situation of debentures whenever the debentures are issued in or dealt in the form of fractions. I hope you have understand the concept. And if you are having doubts regarding how this 50, since it is a case of 50, we can simply segregate as 8 lakh and 50. So if the amount was something else, don't worry, just use the formula which we have learned to find the value of debentures at the time of issue of debentures for purchase consideration other than cash. In that case, we have used the equation, value of asset divided by, or value whatever it is we are going to pay divided by value of one debenture. Here it is 100, so it will be 8 lakh 50 divided by 100, you will get 88,000.5, 8,000.50. Then it is a fraction situation. See, that is how we are mentioning fraction number of debentures. We have discussed many cases like 8,000 debentures or 15,000 debentures or 10,000 debentures, but if you divide 8 lakh 50 divided by 100, what you are going to get? It will be 8,000.50. See, there is a fraction situation. That is the concept of fractional debentures. For avoiding that fraction only, we will issue or deal the first whole number, that is 8,000, by issuing 8,000 debentures of 100 each, 8 lakh, and the remaining fraction, that was 0.50, that is dealt in the form of cash. So if you are getting a case where you are confused regarding how much has to be segregated as debentures, issue as debentures, and how much has to be paid in the form of cash, just divide this value by the face value of the debenture. Then you will get the actual fractional section. So anything obtained after the decimal can be paid in the form of cash. Anything before the decimal can be provided in the form of debentures. That is a simple concept. So this is how you have to deal with fractional debentures. I believe you have obtained the theoretical aspects with regard to the fractions as well as the cases which we have discussed. Go through it. We have completed this module. We will pursue with the other modules under the syllabus. If you have any queries, please do let me know.